Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to Cosmic Culture, the channel where we talk all things major movie and television news, theories, breakdowns, and much more. I'm your host Chris, and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness releases in a couple days. Very exciting stuff. I can't wait for all of you guys to watch the movie and tell me what you thought about it. I have already had the opportunity to watch Doctor Strange at the red carpet event, the world premiere, and the movie is insane, guys, and I really think you're going to enjoy it. So there will be zero spoilers for those of you wondering, for those of you worrying about the movie in today's video. I will not be talking any details in particular about what happens in this Doctor Strange sequel. I will, however, be using the fact that I've seen the movie to line up different things you need to know about the MCU before you watch this film. The purpose of this video is everything you need to know in order to watch Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, parentheses, spoilers free, smiley face. So that's what we're going to be talking about. If you guys are interested in what shows you need to catch up on, or maybe shows you've missed that you just want recapped for you real quickly, we're going to be talking about all of that in today's video. If you haven't already, be sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of our daily uploads. You can also check me out on my other socials, Chris M. Rosser for Instagram and at The Culture Chris for Twitter. The link in the description down below will take you to both of these places. Alright, for starters, I've compiled all of the ideas, the lines, the movies, the principles, what it is exactly you're going to need to know into a little graph that I've been creating, and we'll use it as a little bit of a visual aid. For starters, here are the movies or TV shows that you're going to want to have seen, want a refresher, or at least understand what's going on, and I'll try my best to explain briefly what points are important from it so that you can have that knowledge in case you haven't seen or don't want to see any of these movies or shows before you watch Doctor Strange 2. Here's the list. Avengers Infinity War / Avengers Endgame, WandaVision, Loki Season 1, and of course, Doctor Strange, the first movie. These movies and shows have all of the information from the concurrent MCU, from all of the compilations of important data and MCU correlations within them. So everything you need to know moving forward, at least with respect to Doctor Strange 2, happened in these 4 projects. I also will add Spider-Man No Way Home and the Avengers series and the Avengers as general as honorable mentions because they are mentioned and they are brought up. However, you don't need to know what's going on there other than the fact that, hey, the Avengers exist and hey, Spider-Man No Way Home happened. Both of them get references in the movie, and it's just really fun to understand where those references are coming from and what they stand for. But let's go ahead and talk about these 4 projects because there is pertinent information for you to understand the raw emotion and the connection and maybe even where the MCU is headed following this epic movie. So let's start with the big one, a big motivating factor for all of the Phase 4 movies, and that is Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame. The 2-part finale to the Infinity Saga. Everything that we were watching for the first 10 years came down to these 2 movies, and obviously they were epic, and some of the biggest cinematic moments ever in our lifetime happened during these films. But for the purposes of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, there are 2 moments that are very important. One correlates directly with Doctor Strange, and one correlates directly with Wanda. Let's start with Doctor Strange since it is his movie after all. It's frequently brought up that he fought Thanos, that he gave him the Infinity Stone, the Time Stone. He gets questioned whether or not there truly was another way, and I feel like a lot of this questioning, although it isn't mentioned in the actual film at any point, but a lot of the time when he's questioned about this, people are wondering if he could have sacrificed himself potentially in order to help save the universe, that we didn't actually have to go through the entire blip, the 5 years of just terrible unhappiness, that maybe Doctor Strange could have done something different to defeat Thanos that would have involved him not giving him the Time Stone and them not having to deal with the blip. But that's just a side thought. And then of course, we realize that Earth still hasn't quite recovered from all of these events of the blip, which is very understandable. People are still bitter, people are still angry, people still want answers, and there are a lot of people who have had loss and don't know how to recoup and don't know who to blame. So some of that falls on the Avengers, even though they did ultimately save the day. People wonder if they could have done a better job. So as far as Doctor Strange is concerned, from Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, we realize that he did save the day, but doesn't always feel like a hero. Maybe sometimes even feels like a burden, or doesn't feel like he gets the appreciation from the public that he needs. And yes, he did give in our timeline Thanos the Infinity Stone, but is he going to learn in other timelines that maybe there was another way and his calculations weren't correct? These are the questions you're going to be asking yourself while you watch the movie, and we hopefully will get a few answers to this as we're navigating the multiverse. Now, there is a second side to Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and that is Wanda, the Scarlet Witch, who we did see on display in Avengers Infinity War and in Avengers Endgame, as she had some few very important roles, and we did start to see how powerful Wanda really could be. It was during this time, about the time of the releasing of Avengers Endgame, that President Kevin Feige said Wanda was the strongest Avenger, and I think she's certainly gone on to prove that throughout what she did in Avengers Endgame, what happened in Avengers Infinity War, and then of course WandaVision and bleeding into Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Specifically, we're talking about Infinity War and Endgame right now, so remember this. Wanda destroyed an Infinity Stone while holding back Thanos, who had several Infinity Stones. She also played with him in the Avengers Endgame war at the very end when he didn't have any Infinity Stones. However, Thanos is a very, very strong individual, and a very underpowered Wanda Maximoff was able to contain him, and honestly, had she not been disrupted by Thanos destroying his own troops, she probably would have actually defeated him. Also, when he did have the Infinity Stones, she held him back long enough to destroy a different Infinity Stone. This is a ton of power we're talking about here. The ability to even destroy an Infinity Stone to begin with, that's insane. But also, while holding back with the other hand, a very angry Thanos who's trying to get that last Infinity Stone, it demonstrates an insane amount of power. And, of course, we have to mention that that Infinity Stone that she destroyed was in the head of the android she loved, Vision, who is also a big central part of her anguish and her pain, which is where she gets all this raw emotion, this negativity, and this viciousness for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. We have to remember these things because they all add up to create the Scarlet Witch. They all add up to create the pain and the harm and the desire to have some happiness in her life, which will motivate her to continue on and be who she is in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. So these are the important parts for Doctor Strange and the important parts for Wanda from Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, two of the biggest movies in the MCU ever, and yes, like I've said, the border and baseline for all of Phase 4's connecting points up to Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Moving on, let's talk about WandaVision. Now, this is clearly an extremely part of moving forward in the MCU. It always was going to be, and although we haven't had any real connections yet, this is like the continuation of WandaVision. If you haven't seen WandaVision at all, you won't necessarily be confused, but you might not always understand what's going on. For starters, a lot of the emotion that Wanda deals with does continue through what happens in WandaVision. It's an awesome series, and she basically goes and accidentally takes over an entire town with her abilities, which are getting more and more powerful as the days go by. She takes control of their consciousness and forces them to live out her perfect dream scenario in different types of sitcom shows. She creates her own kids, she brings Vision back to life in this imaginary world, and everybody is kind of struggling in this scenario to have their own personalities, and they've been captured, they've been kidnapped, and they're being held hostage. Now, Wanda did all of this on accident, and ultimately when she realized what was going on, she made the tough decision to lose this happiness. Her kids disappeared, Vision disappeared, and she allowed Westview to continue on, to be its own world, and all the people were freed. It was a very hard decision for her, obviously, because this meant losing her kids, losing her love, giving away all of her happiness, which is all she searched for her entire life, having had a very difficult life. Her parents died because of Tony Stark and the big war and all of that stuff, so she was going on with that anger. Then she was tested on by the Infinity Stone, which we also learned specifically in WandaVision. And just moving forward, we see the tragedy that is Wanda Maximoff's life. Also need to mention that Agatha Harkness, a different witch who was using the Darkhold, was trying to contain Wanda's magic and take it for herself because she's a very unique being, a Nexus being specifically, who does possess chaos magic, which is a very, very strong type of witchcraft. All of this and much more was explained in WandaVision. Out of all of the different movies and shows we're talking about to be prepared for Doctor Strange 2, WandaVision is probably number one. So if you haven't watched it, I would highly recommend going through and getting all of those details, at least for this series. Maybe you don't want to watch Doctor Strange, Loki Season 1, Avengers Infinity War, and Avengers Endgame before you go and watch Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. You might not have time. However, if you do have a little bit of time, definitely try to refresh through WandaVision. This is the most important for the overall and immediate storyline for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. The introduction of the Darkhold, which has a very important presence in the film, Wanda's overall motivation and her mental state are all explained what's going on, and Westview, which is the city that Wanda took over, is mentioned several times throughout the film, so you're going to want to understand that, just so you can have the proper perspective moving forward. Next on my list of shows and movies you need to watch is Loki Season 1. I say Season 1 even though there isn't a Season 2 out yet, however Season 2 will be created, and I think it's going to fold very, very nicely from what we've learned in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. There's new terminology, there's new vocabulary, there are new rules about the multiverse and its existence that really do require us paying attention in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, because I do think they will pop back up in Loki Season 2. However, for Loki Season 1, there are a few important details. What is a variant? Well, we learned about variants originally and specifically from Loki. The TV explained to us that there's one timeline and that sacred timeline needs to be protected, and anytime something deviates from this timeline, it creates a variant, a alternate universe that branches out into the multiverse and creates a whole new world. And this is a bad thing. Why is this a bad thing? Well, we learn about Kang the Conqueror, specifically from a variant of himself who's referred to as He Who Remains. He's created one specific timeline to keep any other Kangs from being created, that they're too powerful and many of them have evil desires. So the existence of the multiverse, which did exist in its own random chaos, was then controlled by He Who Remains and by the TVA. They create one sacred timeline, and their duty was to get rid of these other universes. Well, on the red carpet, actually on Monday, Kevin Feige has now confirmed all of this stuff, Spider-Man No Way Home, the craziness of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and any multiversal issue really that we run into is all stemmed from Loki. Everything that Loki did, the creation of the multiverse opening up and all of these different universes stemming around it, was because they killed He Who Remains, and they didn't take his place, which is what He Who Remains wanted. He wanted them to preserve the one timeline and not allow for different universes to stem out. Well, now they have, and the possibility for Spider-Man No Way Home, the possibility for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, confirmed by Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige, was all because of Loki. So if you want to get some really good background and some solid information on what a variant is, what a different timeline is, all of that is explained beautifully in Loki Season 1. And although I will divulge to you that there aren't any direct references to Loki, nobody really seems to know the multiverse has been opened by Loki, we do know this. We have seen what's going on with Loki and Sylvie, we have seen Loki Season 1, and obviously that this is going to run around and connect as whatever moving forward happens with Loki Season 2, and we know that this also connects directly and falls into the umbrella of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, since Kang's appearance in this movie has been 100% confirmed. So we're starting to see, like I've said several times, these roots popping out of the ground, connecting different series and shows. Loki connects to Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, thus connecting it to WandaVision. And then, of course, you have the future, Loki Season 2, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Kang and his presence, and the overall destruction that he's going to be causing, which will start to connect other movies and shows like future Avengers films, or maybe Midnight Suns shows, bringing in Moon Knight. Lots of exciting stuff, and we are starting to see how it is all going to fold together and create a very, very epic multiverse saga moving forward. So, walking through Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, WandaVision, Loki Season 1 really catches us up to speed to what's going on. Why is Multiverse of Madness important? What's the big pivot, the big direction that Phase 4 gets from all of the information we're about to receive out of this movie? And in short, the big answer is, well, the multiverse is going to be a big player, a very important force to understand moving forward in Phase 4. But I do also want to talk about Doctor Strange, the first movie, because you have to remember this is a Doctor Strange film, and I talked about this in my spoiler-free review. A lot of people are concerned that Doctor Strange might get overpowered by the presence of Wanda, a new character in America Chavez showing up, the multiverse being explored and explained. There's not going to be any time to see what's going on with poor old Stephen Strange. However, I will tell you, at least for me, and I know there are several people who disagree, at least for me, this very much remains, from my perspective, a Doctor Strange movie. There are several times throughout the movie when people are asking him if he's happy. They're asking him if Everything that he's done and brought him to this point has given him value. He's a superhero. He's an Avenger. Why wouldn't he be happy? Why wouldn't he feel like he has everything? Well, we get some really cool underlying explanations of what it is to be Doctor Strange in the vast insanities of the multiverse. We meet multiple different Doctor Stranges and what happens with them overall. We've seen in a TV spot trailer Professor X even asking Doctor Strange, what kind of Doctor Strange are you? So there's going to be some overall, who is Doctor Strange in the multiverse? Why does he matter? What's his relevance? What is he capable of? And we're going to see some of his awesome abilities, his powers, and his overall challenges as a character. So from Doctor Strange 1, it's just important to remember who is Doctor Strange. We also get remnants of this in Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame and Spider-Man No Way Home, and it's mentioned several times. How are you, Strange? Are you happy, Strange? And you wonder to yourself, what would he have done differently? Would he have decided to be Doctor Strange? Or would he, as we see in the first movie, just fixed his hands and gone back to being a surgeon? These are big, big questions. And why is this? Well, in my opinion, Doctor Strange is the anchor of the MCU right now. Everything that will be happening moving forward and everything that has happened post Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame all kind of stems off of Steven. If you think about No Way Home, and if you think about the continuation of the balance of the multiverse and the balance of the universe, Doctor Strange is often found at the center of that, as he has a lot of knowledge, he has a lot of power and a lot of capability. And yeah, Wanda might be the strongest character in the MCU, as said by Kevin Feige, but Doctor Strange is not too far away. Obviously, the MCU is a rabbit hole of discussion. There are lots of hidden Easter eggs, connecting points, both to the future and the past, callbacks, nods, so many different things we can talk about. But having seen the film one time and not really being able to watch it again, this is what I pulled out of it. These are the important projects: Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, WandaVision, Loki Season 1, and Doctor Strange 1. If you have a decent understanding of those, you will be able to watch Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness and start filling in the blanks for the future of the MCU. Now, if you haven't seen any of those, and all you have to go off of now is the description I just gave you, which, one, thank you for still listening to the video, now 17 minutes in, and two, this will help you enough. The movie doesn't require knowledge to enjoy it. If you have seen no other project and want to check out Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness as it is, on its basis, I do personally believe that Marvel does a fantastic job creating individual experiences as well as conjoined, connected cinematic universe experiences as well. So you can go into this watching nothing, having seen nothing of Marvel and knowing nothing of Marvel, and still have a lot of fun as they do create these awesome aspects, visual effects, characters who you're going to want to root for and root against, and it's all one awesome package deal in Multiverse of Madness. Let me know what you guys think, and let me know if you have any questions about connectivity in the comment section down below. I will do my best to answer. Beware, if you do go down to the comment section, people are posting spoilers just for the sake of posting spoilers, stuff that has come out prior to the release of the movie, stuff that people have talked about on different channels about what they learned at the premiere. So just be careful if you are going down there, because I can't necessarily control everything that people say. So thank you guys so much for watching till the very end of the video. If you found it helpful, useful, or interesting, consider subscribing, turning on that notification bell, and, hit the like button so you can help support the channel and further the size of scope of people who can see it. And I will see you guys all in the next one right here on Cosmic Culture.